The Boy Who Lost His Face by Louis Sachar. 6. You should have taken the cigarette this morning, Scott told him as they walked home together after school. You didn't have to smoke it. All you have to do is go into the bathroom, light it, and let it burn for a few minutes so the smoke gets in your hair. One cigarette won't kill you. No, but my parents might, said David. Scott laughed. David laughed along with him. He was glad they were still friends, at least as long as Roger wasn't around. Sorry I didn't wait for you this morning, said Scott. It's not that I don't like you. I mean, you're still my friend. It's just that, it's not good for my reputation. I have to think of myself, too. You understand, right? I guess, David said. I'm taking a chance even walking home with you now, Scott said. But you're my friend. Thanks, said David. It's not both of them, is it? He asked. I mean, I kind of get the feeling Randy thinks I'm okay. It's just Roger won't give me a chance. Scott shook his head. Man, you've got that backward, he said. Roger was saying maybe you were kind of cool now that there's a curse on you, but Randy thinks you're a total dipshit. Did you say the Gettysburg Address? Asked Ricky. No, Mr. McFarland didn't call on me. Too bad, said Ricky. I know you wouldn't have made any mistakes, David shrugged. Can I hear it again? Ricky asked. Once more, David recited the Gettysburg Address for his brother. He remembered what Mr. McFarland had said and did his best to speak with the dignity and grace befitting the occasion. That's right, Ricky said when David was through. You didn't miss a single word. Ricky had memorized it, too. Now, do you want to hear my address? Asked David. Okay, said Ricky. 1411 Meadowbrook Lane, said David. Ricky cracked up laughing. David shook his head in amazement. He wondered why Ricky didn't realize that if he was really such a neat guy, he wouldn't be reciting the Gettysburg Address to his little brother. He'd be out with his friends or even with a girl. Only nerds stayed home to recite Lincoln's Gettysburg Address to their little brothers. What would Ricky think if he knew my so-called friends thought I was a dipshit? Or that there was a girl I liked, but there was no way she would ever like me, and that while she was reciting the Gettysburg Address, I fell over in my chair and then had to lie on my back like a bug. Hey, Mom, said Ricky as she walked by. Do you want to hear David's address? Their mother walked into David's room with her finger to her lips. Shh, she whispered. I just put Elizabeth down. She had medium-length light brown hair and hazel eyes. She always looked worn out, but at the same time content. Before Elizabeth was born, she had worked for a consulting firm doing statistical analysis. At first, she was just going to take 6 weeks off, then 3 months, then 6 months, and now she still occasionally talked about going back to work. Do you want to hear David's address? Ricky whispered. It's really funny. All right. David, tell her your address, said Ricky. David shrugged. 1411 Meadowbrook Lane. Ricky cracked up, laughing again. Mrs. Ballinger smiled politely. She obviously didn't understand the joke, if that's what it was. Ricky, you need to clean your room, she said. David watched his little brother walk out the door, followed by his mother. Hey, Mom, he said. His mother stopped and turned back to look at him. He flipped her off. For a moment, she didn't react at all. Then in a strained voice, she said, Don't move until your father gets home. She walked out of his room, slamming the door behind her. A second later, he heard Elizabeth crying. He looked down at his middle finger, which was still raised, and pointed it at himself. And that's the end of chapter 6.